Welcome to our channel.
Let's learn English together.
Hello, this is Lucy. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that I personally experienced and that had a profound impact on me. How I regained focus and inner peace through digital detox. You probably know this feeling. You pick up your phone to check one message, and 45 minutes later, you're still scrolling. I used to tell myself, I'm just relaxing. I'm learning something. This is how I stay connected. But in reality, I was lost in the noise. My attention was broken. My creativity faded. And worst of all, I couldn't hear my own thoughts anymore. So I did something radical. I decided to step away from my devices. To take control back. To breathe again. This is the story of how I did a digital detox and how it gave me my mind back. Part 1. The Turning Point. It all started on a Tuesday evening. I was sitting on my bed scrolling through TikTok. Funny dog videos, travel content, people cooking, people crying. And then suddenly I realized I had no idea why I picked up my phone in the first place. I looked at the clock. I had been on my phone for 2 hours. 2 hours of nothing. I hadn't called my mom. I hadn't finished my article. I hadn't even eaten dinner. All I had done was scroll. And in that moment, I felt a wave of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Silence. The kind of silence you notice only after the noise is gone. But also guilt. And sadness. And fatigue. That night, I asked myself a question. What would happen if I disappeared from the internet just for a little while? Part 2. What is digital detox? A digital detox is a break. Not forever. Not deleting everything. But intentionally stepping away from screens, apps, and notifications to give your brain and soul some rest. It's like fasting, but for your attention. It's a way to remember what it feels like to live without constant input. I decided to do it for 7 days. No social media. No YouTube. No TikTok. Minimal email. Only essential texts or calls. I deleted the apps. I told my friends. I wrote it down in my journal. This week, I give myself permission to be offline. Part 3. Day 1. Restlessness. The first day was harder than I imagined. I kept reaching for my phone without thinking. My fingers would swipe left to find Instagram, but it wasn't there. I felt itchy, fidgety, unsettled. It was like my brain didn't know what to do without a dopamine hit. I kept checking the weather app just to check something. But I stayed with it. No cheating. That night, I noticed something strange. The day felt long. Really long. And I realized how much time I used to fill with random digital noise. Part 4. Day 2, 3. Clarity begins. By the second day, something started to shift. My thoughts slowed down. I could read a book without looking at my phone. I could walk without music and actually hear the birds. I noticed small things. The way sunlight moved across my wall. The sound of my own breathing. How calm my kitchen felt in the morning. I even journaled again, something I hadn't done in months. And in my journal, I wrote, I'm starting to hear my own voice again. Part 5. Day 4. The urge to share. Here's something funny. On day 4, I made the best cup of coffee I've ever made. And my first instinct? I should post this. But then I stopped. Why? Why did I need to tell the internet about my coffee? Why couldn't it just be my moment? That question hit me deep. How many beautiful things had I given away to the feed without ever keeping them for myself? I took a sip. I smiled. And I let it be mine. Part 6. Day 5. Real conversations. Without my phone always in hand, I started having real conversations. I called my sister and actually listened. I met a friend for lunch and neither of us checked our phones. I talked to a neighbor I had ignored for a year. It was strange at first, but also lovely. I remembered what it meant to be present, to make eye contact, to pause, to really hear someone. Part 7. Day 6. Boredom and breakthroughs. Day 6 was rough. I got bored. I stared at the wall. I missed the constant stream of stimulation. But I stayed offline. And in that boredom came ideas. Suddenly, I wanted to draw again. I had an idea for a short story. I organized my closet. I baked banana bread. Things I never made time for were now possible. Why? Because boredom is the birthplace of creativity, and I had finally made space for it. Part 8. Day 7. Coming back slowly. The final day felt peaceful. I had adjusted to quiet, to slow, to soft, but I knew I had to return to the online world eventually. Work, friends, life. So I made a plan. I would reinstall only 2 apps. I would turn off all notifications. I would use a 30-minute timer for social media. I would take 1 screen-free day per week. This wasn't about rejecting technology. It was about using it more consciously. Part 9. What I gained. Looking back, that digital detox changed me. Here's what I gained. 1. Focus. I could read, write, and work without getting constantly distracted. 2. Peace. My anxiety levels dropped. My thoughts became clearer. 3. Time. I had hours back every day for rest, connection, and creativity. 4. Intuition. Without constant noise, I could hear my inner voice again. 5. Joy. From the smallest things. A breeze, a book, a warm drink. Part 10. What you can try. If you're thinking of doing your own digital detox, here's how to begin. Start with 24 hours offline. Tell someone you trust. Delete 1-2 addictive apps temporarily. Plan small offline joys. Walking, cooking, journaling. Be kind to yourself. This is hard, but worth it. Even a little detox makes a difference. Learning summary. New vocabulary today. Digital detox. Attention span. Fidgety. Dopamine hit. Scroll. Mindfulness. Intuition. Conscious use. Grammar focus. Past simple plus past continuous. I was scrolling when I realized. I kept checking even though I knew it wasn't helping. Modal verbs for advice. You can start with 1 day offline. You should tell a friend. Present perfect for experience. I've noticed more peace. I've changed how I use my phone. Final thoughts. Doing a digital detox didn't make me a different person, but it reminded me of the person I had forgotten. Someone who enjoys stillness, Who thinks deeply? Who notices the sky? You don't have to delete everything. You don't have to disappear forever. But maybe just maybe step away long enough to remember how good it feels to be present. This is Lucy. Thanks for listening.